Preparing the files, it's quite flexible how you can use SurveyLM. You just need the question ID, and some sort of answer instruction. This sample survey, there's a couple of different questions with different types of outputs. So choosing a single option from a multiple option question on a Likert scale, maybe multiple choices, multiple options, and so on. Now, if I try to upload this one, you'll notice that I'll get an error here. It is case sensitive. So I'll try that again, question ID. Get rid of that one, try it again. Okay, all good this time. So uploaded, the same thing comes up as in my Excel or CSV spreadsheet. Now I can get quite complex with my questions and my answer instructions. Say with an economic experiment, my question could be my instructions for the experiment. And then the answer instruction is a bit about the scenario that they're in role A, they need to allocate 100 units, and then please tell us how many units to transfer to B in the dictator game. Using this method, we can also start to play multiplayer games if we quasi sort of simulate the other participants. Maybe in the trust game, rather than assigning them to role A, who gets to choose how many units to transfer to B. In this case, A has already transferred 25 units. That's we've simulated to some extent via hard coding what player A has done, and now we just want to see what player B does. Using this approach, it's quite flexible, as you can see, so we can run through the ultimatum games, we can run through public goods games, prisoners' dilemmas, third-party punishments, and so on. Very flexible. The cool thing is, when we have a look at some of the simulation results from these classical econ games, we can see that they fairly reliably give us the right decision. In some cases, we can even return a list of decisions, as in the public goods game. Okay, answer instruction in this task is here. Okay, we played the public goods with punishment, and we need to decide, first off, how many units to transfer. And in the second, third, and fourth part, we had to decide how much to punish the other individuals. In this case, they chose to punish participant B with 10, participant C with 5, and participant D with 2. Now, most of the time that works pretty well. Sometimes you might find, if you haven't reinforced the answer, to answer in a list, returning a list, maybe you need to add down here to that question, just to remind them to return a list. Maybe sometimes that helps with the LLM's compliance with your request. Particularly if this is a long list of questions, just because the language model, due to limited context, can forget some instructions earlier on. That might be the case where we have, say, a scenario-based decision-making task or a decision-making vignette, like in the service marketing field or the cognitive psychology field. You can see here that we've got this pretty detailed sort of scenario-based task relating to an employee's or a customer's experience with an employee, or a service encounter as they call it in that field. Again, I've got the question ID, and the answer instruction, but the answer instruction here is this long list of questions that we're asking the language model to respond to, 16 in total. So in some cases, for this service marketing simulation, due to the limited context window of the language models, particularly 3.5 turbo versus 16K 3.5 turbo would probably respond a bit better and more reliably, and then probably even better again with the GPT-4 model. Again, all just due to context and reasoning capability. But you might see that sometimes you might just have one answer instead of a list. But on average, it's pretty good. So things can start to get quite complex. You might even ask them to respond in a list for their justifications for each of their individual answers, or maybe they just respond in whole.